Well, it's pretty remarkable. Goldman Sachs, I think, reiterated their buy in Nvidia, $800 price target, conviction buy list. Today it traded 1.5 times normal volume. Clearly the money flows are there. The AMD quarter last Tuesday, I think it was when they reported, I didn't think it was particularly good. I thought the guidance was weak. It's right back where it was, if not higher than before. Microsoft, the same thing. I mean, the money flows are amazing. So congratulations if you've been involved. I have not clearly, and I still not necessarily a believer, but you have to wonder at what point does something trigger this thing. I mean, the story can't, I don't think, last forever. And double ordering, triple ordering, margins compression is more people get into the space, more competition. I don't know. We're getting close.
For Nvidia specifically.
Yeah, I think so.
But haven't we learned from the hyperscaler earnings just in the past week or so that there is demand for these GPUs? I mean, doesn't that confirm this Nvidia bull story?
I think it does. And February 21st, we're going to hear a lot more. And you know, for a stock that's done 40% when the entire semi space today set new relative highs to the S&P and new all-time closing highs, I believe. And you know, that to me is the dynamic. The question is, how crazy is it if you can throw $25 a share in EPS on Nvidia by 2025? Suddenly, this stock's not as expensive as it seems, given the growth it's giving you. Meta, the reason it got so many upgrades is not just because they did a div, even though I think that was an exciting thing for some types of investors, money managers that want the dividend, but a CAGR of anywhere from 20 to 25% over the next 3 years is what most of those research analysts that were upgrading the stock said. So is it crazy? I think it's, look, semis are up 50% or so since October 26th when the market inflated. 50% for the biggest, highest growth group in the bunch. And so, yeah, it's shocking. It's startling. But again, the companies that are really the ones outperforming, and again, there hasn't been good breadth. It's been, it's been all those top 7 names.
You texted me an FT story, which was titled "Sell Nvidia."
Yeah.
So I sort of know where you stand here.
Well, no, it was a pretty fascinating note. And so there was a fixed income analyst over at Barclays and a guy named Sandeep Gupta. And he's obviously relatively constructive on the story and the secular move and all the things that are going on in and around that. Underweights the stock, though. Again, it's not the equity analyst over there, but really laid out the potential for all these things that Guy just mentioned, whether it be competition, whether it be margin compression, whether it mean this movement from the training level of a lot of the companies that are buying these GPUs to the inference level, which will be less data dependent or intensive and the like. I mean, the list goes on and on. The competition and this and that, whatever. Here's the deal. Coming into this year, okay, the stock looked cheap, right? It had grown into those kind of numbers that had been ratcheted up quarter over quarter all of 2023. After a 45% gain just in the last month, it's no longer cheap. So when they report on February 21st, if they do report a deceleration, right, by any means, this stock's going down. So when you talk about what's unnatural about this, I mean, to me, when you go up literally $750 billion in a straight line without any news. Now, there's a massive customer concentration. Meta and Microsoft that reported last week.
Without any news? Hold on. I need to stop you a little bit. Without any news? I mean, again, a company whose business doubled and is projected to possibly
well, that was
triple.
last year's news. So basically, okay, so
but that has a lot to do with
two
the
customers, Meta and Microsoft, are 30% of their revenue, and they just had really great quarters. Microsoft didn't react well to its own quarter, right? So you could say that, like, for instance, that's in the stock, that's in Nvidia stock. Meta had that 20% gap or so. And so I just think when you have that sort of customer concentration, you have to go back 20-some years to the internet, sort of thing. There was another thing that my good friend Jim Chanos, who we spoke to last week down at the conference, he mentioned that, the company Nvidia, and it's detailed in this article also and in this Barclays note, that they've made like 24 VC investments in the Nvidia space where those companies, they take the capital and then they're buying the GPUs, and the GPUs are serving as collateral for the capital. And we saw that at the turn of the century, right? So this is not going to end particularly well. You can't go up $750 billion in a straight line on not much news, Tim, not much company-specific news, and not think that it has the potential to go the other way just as violently.